observation and assessment. This is your week 7 explanation. This will take us through next Friday, the 9th. We are in the home stretch with 2 weeks left. So this one we're going to be looking at chapters 10 and 11. And we're going to take all this standard stuff we've done, these 3 reflections, and we're now going to discuss it. So like I said, it's going to be due on October 9th. You've got 2 reading quizzes. So the first one's going to be over chapter 10. Chapters we're really looking at how creative art skills develop. So in this one we're going to be looking at art, music, and dance. And then in chapter 11 we are going to be looking at dramatic play. And this ties into play, but dramatic play is a specific kind of play where people take on roles. They have what are called frames, to where like everybody wants the mom and wants the dad, and then someone steps out of the frame to be like, no, what we need to do next is, because it's not part of the drama, they're just guiding direction, and then they come back into the frame. And so this happens more and more as cognitive development happens. They go from only being able to use a real phone up to pretending that a block is a phone, because they're able to have that symbolic representation. A whole lot goes on in dramatic play as well. So that's chapter 10 over creative arts, art, music, and dance. A lot of times dance, we call it music and movement, but exposing children to different cultural dances, styles of dancing, very powerful medium. So here we go over dramatic play. Then we're going to be having a discussion. Since we have completed 3 reflections, what are going to be your takeaways? So we've talked about taking information to come up with lesson plans and curriculum, talking about using assistive technology. Have you seen assistive technology in the classroom? What did you think about using the technology to document? What do you think about working with diagnosticians or ECI, collaborating with parents, all of that? Like, let's process it together. So is anything keeping, changing, you're adding to your practice? I personally know I'm writing our NACI self-reflection report. I need to add more like video documentation and phone picture documentation, things along those lines as well. And so have you been able to use these skills with little people in your classroom? And a lot of times so far with the assessment tools, you've told me, like with my little brother, with the boy I'm babysitting with, in my classroom, this one person I haven't really noticed before, like share with everybody else your takeaways, and we'll see how far reaching we've been able to take these concepts even in 7 weeks that we've been talking about them. So initial posts and 3 comments by next Friday. You must do on 2 different days in order to receive full credit. I do want to point out to you the case study that's going to be due next week. So you can already pick out your little person, spend time with them. So, case study. What you're going to do is, and hopefully, I know one person in here has done their work samples on one specific child, which is great. It gets you ready for this. So you have a child. You're going to complete at least 4 different assessments on them. So you can choose to do a time sample, a running record, a developmental checklist, anecdotal records, work samples, all that. Well, work samples come here. You're going to do that. So you may already have all that. Then you're going to create a portfolio with 5 artifacts. So this can be photos of their artwork, photos of them doing gross motor skills. It can be an audio of them reading a book or a video of them reading a book. It can be writing samples that they have, anything. And if you can, have a parent do a parent checklist or talk to them about their child's development. If you can't, or you don't feel comfortable approaching a parent to do that for this class, or the director of your center is like, don't do that, that's absolutely fine. Write a few sentences of what you would do. Like, to get additional information about this child, I would have this parent complete a developmental checklist over social skills or something along those lines. Then you're going to write up your findings, and it's going to be your demographic information. You can give them a fake name, but their age, their gender, are they in school, things along those lines. What did you learn about them in the different domains of physical, cognitive, social, emotional, creative arts? Then you're going to write a learning prescription, which is on page 73 and 74 in the textbook. So let me find that for you really fast. 73 with a learning prescription. And this is what I want you to see, because you've already done most of this. You're going to start adding activities that you know are going to take kids to the next level. It's called scaffolding. And it's where if you know a child can add, then the next thing you do is going to be adding 2-digit numbers or starting to talk about subtraction. You're not going to be jumping to calculus. So what are some things to help them? They're having a hard time with pencil grasp. What are some things that you can put out to help them with fine motor development? Those different types of things. 3 goals. The student will be able to hold a pencil with a pencil grasp, things along those lines. And then 2 centers and 2 activities. So you may have open the sand table, or you may have where they're going to be writing and putting or something along those lines. Does the child need additional assessments, and who would you do it? So if you think that this child, their anger is too much, or their inability to focus is too much for the typical 3-year-old, do you need to invite ECI into that as well? And then how would you report back to parents? Would you send a paper? Would you have a conference? How would you do that? So that's your case study. I wanted to tell you about it this week, so you have 2 weeks to get it done. And so I look forward to seeing what you've learned in the discussion boards.